Hello, and welcome to Get Wet with Saray Johnson. This will be a part of my Division 3 work.
Today's topic is Femme Day. Yay! Femmes! I wanted to do this episode to talk about the way that femme identity intersects and does not intersect with sexuality and sexual practice. First, I want to start with a quote. Tara Hardy in the anthology Visible, a femthology, says that fucking is indeed the femmiest of femme hobbies. I thought that was a very interesting kind of lead-in to an essay, particularly when femmes are thought about as having sex in very particular ways, as stereotype follows. This misunderstanding is exacerbated by concepts of masculinity and femininity, which feature within our queer lexicons, often in the form of the terms butch, femmegress, AG, stud, etc., ones that construct femme identity in negative relation and opposition to other identities instead of working towards a positive definition that says what femme is instead of what femme ain't. Femme Day is specific to talking about the ways, as I've said before, that sex does and does not overlap with understanding of gender. As we talked about before in our last episode, topping and bottoming, femme identity does not have a direct correlation with any sexual practice or sexual roles. Be this as it may, there are many assumptions about how femmes have sex and with whom. It is a common and outdated stereotype that femmes are only bottoms. Femmes are assumed to be the receptive partner during penetrative sex, even when this is not the case. Variation in sex roles for femmes often ends up being covered up as a result of this misunderstanding. Also, I hope today that we'll talk a little bit about the ways that femme gender and like all gender is influenced by ability, race, class, sexual history, and presentations, and our own gendered assumptions about what that means. So now I'm going to open the floor for any questions and comments about where gendered ideas of femme sex roles and femme identity may come from. Do you think that these are things that spring from our community, or do you think that they spring from a more popular discourse of sexism in a larger American culture?
I know for me personally, my femininity was like really informed by music videos. And it's interesting because I didn't grow up watching a lot of TV. In fact, I didn't grow up with the TV. The school that I went to was like kind of anti-TV. So it's like once I hit, whatever age, maybe, 11, 12, whatever, just like getting into music videos and seeing what was represented and like what I saw as like what bodies and what like presentations I saw being reinforced as sexy, in terms of like responses around that. So yeah, definitely music videos was like a huge thing for me, which, I'm like, shit, I'm still, dancing, so like it doesn't necessarily go away.
I think that my femininity is largely informed by the fact that I wasn't always feminine. For a super long time, like I identified as a butch, not just a butch, but a stone butch top. And like, because that's so different where I am now, I feel like my femininity is like so intentional, particularly in light of what it takes for me to be recognized like as like a taller, Black, disabled woman. I feel like there has to be a little more, like I have to be very intentional about like the way that my femininity looks if I want it to be recognized as such. Like I feel like if I was a jeans and t-shirt femme, like I would be perceived very differently than I am, particularly because of class. Like I don't have the money to run out every time that I feel like my gender is changing a little bit to like go get clothes that are going to help me be more like readily recognized. And so like in that case, like I have to like be very specific with like what I purchase, how I adorn it, how I like decorate my body, if I'm going to be accepted into a larger femme understanding.
I also had when I was younger, I was trying on different queer roles because I was the only queer person at my school, and so I felt like I had to be like the emblem, the gay icon for all the little people who were still in the closet. So I tried on all these different roles and like cut my hair real short and wore baggy clothes, and then I actually like considered like maybe I was trans for a while, but I eventually sort of came to the revelation that like being femme like doesn't mean I'm any less queer, I guess. I started like when I was little, I would cry when people put pants on me, and now I wear lots of dresses. I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, my family essentially just decided I was a little boy when I was a kid. In all of like in the many ways that counted to them, you know, like they were very big on not using very gendered pronouns, particularly my second parent. And, you know, they dressed me in bugle boy all the time. You know, like I would have my little sweater vest on and my khaki chinos and my penguin fleece under like boxers. And, you know, like I was a dweeby looking boy though. I was so dweeby.
So cute.
I was so dweeby, like really, because I'm so cool now. But everyone laughs. At the same time, the reason that I like came to understand myself as femme was because I had a partner who was very femme and just like refused to see me that way, you know. And I think like I had to make an assessment of like, it was the first time I had ever had to like defend or think about in depth like the gender that I had or like the gender I was presenting, especially because I had just moved from a community where like if you were gay, you were assumed to be either masculine or not gay. And like very masculine in a very specific way, like not just like I don't think masculinity or femininity are the property of either a male like sex or identity or a female sex or identity, but like you were like where I'm from, like if you were masculine, you were assumed to be imitating like the men that you knew, and like if you deviated from that, you just weren't gay. And here I come like this like hippie looking butch kid in some Birkenstocks and zip off khaki shorts. And it was not working. It was not working out for me.
Yeah, I remember when you were telling me that you wanted to do Femme Day, and I think this was before it was like the show. I was really excited about it because I think that there's, I don't know, like talking about like the idea of like being either you're, like if you're gay, you're either masculine or you're not gay. Like, I don't know, like when I was coming out, it was very, like I had that sort of trajectory that I think some people that I know had too, of being like, oh, I feel so uncomfortable in like all these girly clothes, like I'm trying to be something and it's like not working, and then I figured out, oh, it's because I'm gay, and like, you know, like it was this weird like conflation of like being feminine with being like not gay, and I think that like that was my personal experience, but I know that like it's obviously not that way for everybody, but I think that I know a lot of people who like, I don't know, I feel like it's really in vogue right now and like really like desirable to like, you know, for like young queer folks to like be like as androgynous and like move towards like that like hot little masculinity as possible, you know. And like, well, there's definitely, I mean, like, you know, I'm not like trying to devalue like anything by that, but like I just think it's really good to have something like Femme Appreciation Day when that's, you know, it's like, I don't know, I feel like there's still like, even in our queer community, there's still like people who maybe like on top of their shit in a lot of ways, but still have like these assumptions about like what a femme or like what a feminine body looks like and like who they are and what they can be. And so I don't know, I just wanted to say that I was really happy that you did this.
Thanks. I think like, especially on like a liberal arts campus, I think like, or particularly like Hampshire campus, I've seen people, because like femininity is so often conflated with being a woman, that like femme identity isn't necessarily explored in like or isn't seen as a valid like gender queer identity. And like while I identify as a femme woman, I also think that woman can be a gender queer identity. I don't necessarily understand where like the necessity of like separation of that comes from. But I feel like it could also be a holdover of like the post second wave feminist like moment where, you know, you're coming out of this place where like everyone is like striving to be completely androgynous, and like femme and butch are like pushed completely to the back burner because like they're assumed to be imitating heterosexual gender roles, which leads to the next point I want to talk about, but I want to just see if there's any more questions, comments.